Hey everyone, Saul from 3 Games here. Coming to you today with the last of the War of the Spark spoilers, plus probably your last opportunity to enter our War of the Spark giveaway, which I'll be doing the draw over the weekend, so I should be announcing the winner in the first video of next week. Now, first up we have Finale of Glory. It is X and 2 white. You create X 2/2 white soldiers, or if X was 10 or greater, you create that many 4/4 flying angels with vigilance. I don't know. The card's okay. I think we'll see like commander play, and in limited, I could see it possibly coming out as a win con. You're probably not going to get the 10 plus that you need for the angels, but that many soldiers in limited, because of the lack of board wipes, they'll have a hard time to deal with it. Next up, we have Finale of Revelation. It's X and 2 blue. You draw X cards. If X was 10 or more, you untap 5 lands, and you have no maximum hand size till the end of the game. And you exile Finale of Revelations. Again, probably commander only. It's really expensive for what you're doing. There's better X draw spells, and there's a ton of other ways to have no maximum hand size. So, frankly, yeah, not a great card overall. Finale of Eternities is next. So Finale of Eternity is X and 2 black. All the finales have that same cost. Destroy 3 creatures with toughness X or less. And then if X was 10 or more, you get to return all creatures from your graveyard to the battlefield. This falls under the same category as the other ones. For the amount of mana that you're dumping into it, in limited, maybe, for the mass kill effects. Also, in theory, if they have, toughness 2 or 3 creatures, 5 mana, kill 3 creatures is not bad. So, there is playability here. I just think overall, it is not as strong a card as I would like. That kind of goes for all the finales. I wish they were a little bit stronger, because they're supposed to be like the end of something. The end of something huge. So, yeah. Finale of Promise is next. X and 2 red. You can target an instant and a sorcery in your graveyard with converted mana cost X or less. If you paid more than 10, you get to copy each of those twice. For sure in Commander, in the right deck, I see this being insane. In any constructed format, the problem is getting to 12 mana. There's better things you can probably do. You will probably win outright if you target the right things. Because, bolting and lava spiking someone 6 times is pretty strong. But overall, I think it's a weak card for what it's trying to do. There's better options if you want graveyard recursion like this. And then, Finale of Devastation. X and 2 green. Search your library or graveyard for a creature card with converted mana cost X or less. If X was greater than 10, that creature comes into play. If X was greater than 10, all your creatures get +X and haste till end of turn. So, huge win con, but again, massive mana sink to get this potentially big payoff. We have Commence the Endgame next. It's a 6 CMC. This spell can't be countered. You draw 2 cards and you amass X. So you end up with a giant army and you've drawn 2 extra cards. For 6 mana, I think there's better things you can do, because ultimately I think the amass mechanic is slightly underwhelming, since you're making one big body and all I have to do is path it, or mortify, or insert 1 card removal spell for you now wasting cards on it. It's just an underwhelming mechanic. Now, if you have a way to sack and get payoffs from the size of your army, cool. Otherwise, probably not a mechanic worth investing in. Next up, we have Spark Double. It's a 4 CMC 0/0 illusion. When it enters the battlefield, it enters as a copy of a creature or planeswalker you control. If it enters as a creature, It gets however many +1/+1 counters on that creature, plus an additional one. So it will enter with a +1/+1 counter if there's 0 on it. And if it enters as a planeswalker, it gets that many loyalty counters +1. Also, if either of these things were legendary, it is no longer legendary as a copy. So there's some real shenanigans you can do with this in Commander. If you'd like me to talk about some of the weird combos I see coming out of this set for Commander, comment below. I'll be more than happy to share them in a video. Overall, I think this is a good card. For limited, this will give you potentially multiple of bombs that you might have in your deck, and just give you some more play, essentially. Next up, we have Command the Dread Hoard. It's a 6 CMC sorcery. You can choose any number of creatures or planeswalkers in your graveyard, return them to the battlefield. You lose life equal to their combined CMC. Overall, not a horrible card. For 6 CMC, you can possibly do a lot of things. I think, again, Commander, because you have more life total, this will probably have more of an impact. Because in standard 60 card, when you only have 20 life, if you want to pull back creatures that will have a significant impact immediately, odds are you will be losing way too much life to do this. Next up, you have Deliver Unto Evil. It's a 3 CMC sorcery. You get to choose 4 cards in your graveyard. If you have a Nicol Bolas Planeswalker, they all go to your hand. If you do not, your opponent gets to choose 2 of them. Those go to your graveyard, the other 2 go to your hand. And you exile Deliver Unto Evil. I really like this card. For any of these self-mill, dredge kind of strategies where you're dumping stuff into your graveyard at any kind of consistent rate, to have a 3 CMC way of going, cool, I'll get potentially these back, or I'll get all of them back if you're doing a Bolas strategy, is really strong. And I've always been partial to kind of gifts and given style things, so I enjoy this card a lot. Next up, we have the Elder Spell. For 2 black mana, you get to destroy any number of planeswalkers in play. You then get to target one of your planeswalkers, and it will get 2 loyalty counters for each planeswalker you destroyed. This seems like a fair and balanced card in this format. Not really, but it is what it is. For 2 CMC, getting to destroy any number of planeswalkers in play. So with all these Super Friends Commander decks that are going to be coming out of this, all the limited shenanigans that are going to be coming with all these planeswalkers, and probably some kind of Super Friends standard deck and modern deck, this card floating around kind of just instantly undercuts all of them if you're playing against a black opponent. Yeah, if your opponent's playing black, they are going to dump this on you. You will lose all your planeswalkers at some point. So hold up counter spells. And if you're not in blue, I'm sorry. Next up, we have Plane-Wide Celebration. For 7 CMC, you get to choose one of the 4 modes. You can choose them 4 times in any combination, but you get to do 4 of the actions. You get to create either a 2/2 citizen token. So you can create 4 2/2 citizen tokens if you want. These citizen tokens are all 5 colors. You can choose a permanent and return it to your hand. Or you can proliferate, or you can gain 4 life. So I think overall this card could actually have a lot of potential play, especially in commander decks that are relying on proliferate. Limited, it could give you 4 bodies to attack with, block with, etc. Return stuff to your hand, proliferating, all the options. Overall, I think this is an okay card, mostly for limited. Next up, we have Niv-Mizzet Reborn. He's 5 CMC, 1 of every color, for a 6/6 flyer. When he enters the battlefield, you reveal the top 10 cards of your library and take a card into hand for each different color pairing. You can only take 1 card per color pairing into hand. So what this means is you potentially could pick up 10 cards off him. You could potentially pick up no cards off of him, depending on how your deck is built. You're going to have to build heavily around him in order to use him. And for 5 CMC, for a 6/6 flyer, there's better ones you can get, I think, in my opinion. But it could be fun for if you wanted to do, a 5-color dragon deck of some kind, whatever for Commander. Overall, not a great card, but he's now a dragon avatar. For those of you who've been reading the books, because the War of the Spark book just came out, and I've been starting to read that, and I will summarize that to you guys at some point in the near future. Dragon Spirit. Yeah. Next up, we have Essence Hydra. It's a 5 CMC Hydra mutant. That's a 4/4 with trample. It enters for a +1/+1 counter for each loyalty on all planeswalkers you control. Whenever you add a loyalty counter to a planeswalker, it gets an additional +1 counter. Yeah. With all the proliferate around, this thing's going to get huge quick. So this is probably one of the biggest bombs in Limited if you can build the right kind of Bant control deck. Also potentially standard, but 5 CMC is a little bit on the top end for the 60-card constructed formats. And in Commander, this thing will get removed so quickly, your head will spin. It's just the way it is. Next up, we have Casualty of War. It's a 6 CMC. Choose one or more of the following modes. You get to destroy an artifact, enchantment, creature, and planeswalker. For 6 CMC, this could be a lot of fun. Again, this is going to be one of those more Commander playable cards, I think, than Constructed, like 60-card Constructed. But definitely Limited, I can see this kind of working well, because for 6 CMC, getting to destroy 4 things potentially on your opponent's side could be devastating to them. Next up, we have Living Twister. It's a 3 CMC, 2/5 elemental. You get to pay 2. Sorry, I'm trying to read my notes here. You can pay 2, discard a land, and you get to shock something. There we go. I'm going to make fun of myself and my inability to read my handwriting right now. Or you can pay a green, and you can return a tapped land to your hand. Not bad overall, honestly. But, yeah, for 3 CMC for a 2/5, it's okay. It could potentially get you some card draw for filtering out lands and stuff. Limited, I think this is going to be a better card overall, but we'll see what happens with it. Next up, we have Soul Divir. For 2 CMC, you have a zombie wizard that is a 2/3. You can tap it, remove a counter from a creature or planeswalker you control, and you get to draw a card. Overall, not a bad card. I don't think this is horrible in any way. For 2 CMC, getting a 2/3 to begin with is okay. Zombie Wizard fits into the whole wizard shenanigans that seems to be going on a lot. And more zombies to play with, so why not? Plus, card draw's not bad. Next up, we have Blast Zone. Enters the battlefield with a charge counter on it. Taps for 1 colorless mana. You can pay X and tap it to put... pay XX and tap it to put X charge counters on it. Pay 3, tap it, sack it, destroy each permanent in play with CMC equal to the number of charge counters on it. So it is engineered explosives on a land. I think this is a very strong card. Because, again, you don't have to deal with artifact removal. Land removal is not played as heavily in some formats. Plus, overall, not a horrible card. So, for a flex slot for 1, I definitely think utility land-wise, this is worth playing. And lastly, I saved this card to last because I think it's one of the most interesting moments I have read out of the spoilers in the last little bit, and that is Oath of Kaia. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 3 damage to any target. You gain 3 life. Whenever an opponent attacks a planeswalker you control with 1 or more creatures, deal 2 damage to that player, and you gain 2 life. It's 3 CMC. It's okay overall, especially in like a Super Friends style deck. I don't know how much standard play it's going to see. I can see in Limited that little bit of extra life gain and damage could be good. But the reason I find this interesting is because it means they pretty much let the Punisher on the Avengers. We have someone who the quote might as well read, "So I can kill people. I will stay. keep watch. Happen to be a big Punisher fan, so I thought this was really cool to see this kind of switch in the character. I'm curious to see what caused that switch in the character, you know, besides Bolus ripping out people's sparks in front of her. Anyways, so there you have it. That was the last of the War of the Spark spoilers. For your chance to enter the giveaway, just comment below. Honestly, anything. I'll read it. You can tell me how I did. Either way, I had a lot of fun doing this. I will do it again for the next set. As always, you can follow us on all major social media. That's in the description box below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Easy way to support us in everything we do, as well as hit the notification icon if you haven't, the little bell in the corner. Easy way to keep up with all the content. If you want to see what's going on in store, you can always stop into Markham or Toronto. I'll see you next time.